Good evening, everyone. Who's with us? Oh, Brian and Glenda with us. Good evening, Brian. Good evening. I see Hilton with us. Good evening, Hilton. Iva and Anthony with us. Hello, Iva. Hello, Anthony. Lionel with us. Hello, Lionel. How are you? I hope that you're all well. Good. Who else with us? Let's wait another few seconds to give people chance, because it's the night of Hoshanah Rabah. We're going to speak about Hoshanah Rabah, Be'ezrat Hashem. We're going to speak also about the Ushpizin of tonight, David HaMelech. We bring a different story about David HaMelech that we didn't know, to explain and what we can learn about David HaMelech, Be'ezrat Hashem, of the Parashat Zot HaBeracha, a commentary on Parashat Zot HaBeracha that we're going to bring the Zera Shimshon. We try to understand what's happening. Hello, Mark.
Hello, Rav.
Yeah, Moadim Lesimcha from Israel.
And you, Moadim
From
Lesimcha.
South Africa to Israel. How's Israel?
Israel is Israel. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
That's amazing to hear that. I'm so happy.
I love the look of your sukkah, Rav. It looks terrific.
You know what? While you're all sitting, maybe I'll just show you quickly how's the sukkah look.
I think so. That would be good.
If you want to see how's the sukkah look, I'm going to do it slowly. Let me show you the sukkah. I think that it's going to look a bit different. I don't know how's it looking.
Looking great, Rav. Looking great.
We'll have a bit of an impression of our sukkah, those of you that didn't see. Baruch Hashem. Okay. We are already 4 minutes after, so Be'ezrat Hashem, na'aseh v'natzliach, ve'Hashem alenu berachamav yarviach. Mark, do you have next to you, because I see that our friend Jeffrey didn't join us yet. There's plenty time, if he'll join or not, I don't know. But if you have the book of Dvarim with you, the book of Dvarim.
Dvarim. I don't, Afia.
No problem.
I don't.
No problem.
To go down and fetch it. It's not a big deal, but it'll take a bit of time.
No, there's no rush. There's plenty time. There's plenty time. There's 2 people joining us. I see Orna joining us. Let me admit. There's few more people admitting. So
you want me to go fetch a chumash?
Yeah, if you don't mind. If you don't mind.
Okay, no problem. No problem.
Okay. I see Orna joining us. Moadim Lesimcha, Orna.
Moadim Lesimcha, Chagim Uzmanim Lesosson, everybody.
Amen, amen. Oh, Gabriel with us. Gabriel, Moadim Lesimcha. We're going to start in a few seconds the shi'ur. In the meantime, I would like to dedicate the shi'ur in the soul of Esther Kaden Bat Ketzia, Mordechai ben Rahma, Harav Haim ben Eliezer, Harav Avraham Haim ben Eliezer Yaakov, Tamar bat Zeava, Yaakov Salomon ben Farha, Dvora Ruth bat Beila, Malka Regina bat Joya, Keti Gorgia bat Farha, Shosha Bluma bat Mordechai Betzalel. Please God that the shi'ur will uplift their soul in heaven. Also, I would like to dedicate the shi'ur in health of Menashe Naji ben Farha, Liora bat Miriam, Harav Moshe ben Bahia, Batia, Harav Moshe ben Devorah, Harav Shlomo Yehuda ben Dalia, Harav Avraham ben Marima, Dvora bat Esther, Orna Bluma bat Miriam, Sheina Keila bat Hana, Mordechai David ben Leah, Ahuva Kaden bat Tali Esther, Baruch ben Sarah Hiena, Shmuel Meir ben Shosha Blima, Yehuda Hillel ben Shulamit Leah, Moshe Avraham ben Hena Riva, Hayat Sipora bat Rachel, Ayala Eden bat Rivka, Tova Liba bat Rachel, Yoshua Haim ben Haya Leah, Leah bat Rachel, Hana Masha Rivka bat Zelda. Please God, רפואה שלמה to all of them, ולכל חולה ופצועי עמו ישראל, בכל מקום שהם. רבותיי, tonight is Hoshanah Rabah. Tonight and tomorrow is Leil Hoshanah Rabah tonight. It's the night of Hoshanah Rabah. What does it mean, Hoshanah Rabah? What do we know about Hoshanah Rabah? Be'ezrat Hashem, tonight I'm going to try to explain what is Hoshanah Rabah. Hoshanah Rabah, according to the mystical rabbi, they call it Leil HaHitum. The Mekubalim call it Leil HaHitum. What it means, Leil HaHitum? Leil HaHitum, it means that in Rosh Hashanah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu judges us. He wrote us. What's going to be our sentence? In Yom Kippur, he sealed. That means he sealed. He signed the check. On Hoshanah Rabbah, they're actually now sealing what they do. They're going to seal the envelope. What does it mean? It means that on Hoshanah Rabbah, they're going to send now the post. The post. That's it. They're sending the post. Said the Mekubalim, Hoshanah Rabbah is a day that you can change the decree. Has v'shalom, if there is a decree. Said the Mekubalim, it's called Leil HaHitum. And Be'ezrat Hashem will try to explain how we can change. How does it work and what can we do? So the first thing that we have to understand, what does it mean, Hoshanah Rabbah? Why they call it Hoshanah Rabbah? Okay? The word Hoshanah in Hebrew is save, salvage. A person to be saved from something. Hoshanah. Then the word na. Na in Hebrew is please. But Gematria 51, what is the connection? Rabah, it's plenty. What is the Hidush here? Rabotai, listen what the Ben Ish Hai, the Ben Ish Hai, Rabbi Yosef Haim, he born in Baghdad 189 years ago. He was a great Kabbalistic. In his book, the Ben Ish Hai, on Parashat Zot HaBeracha, he explained like this. He said that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, with his mercy, with his compassion, given us 51 days, to do atonement. All of you are going to ask, where's the 50 days? We know there is 30 days of the month of Elul. And then we have Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, Aseret Yemei Tshuva. Where else? Said the Ben Ish Hai, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu given us 51 days. You know where they are? The 30 days of the month of Elul. Then 21 days is from the beginning of the month of Tishrei until tomorrow. That's Hoshanah Rabbah, tonight and tomorrow. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu, with his mercy, with his compassion to the Jewish people, given us 50 days to do atonement. That we can change any decree that there is on us. The Mekubalim explain like this, and it's brought in a Psikta, the Rav Kahana. It's like this. In Rosh Hashanah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu written everyone, whatever is going to happen with him. Peace, health, wealth, a lot of abundance, please God. Kol Amo Yisrael. In Yom Kippur, that we fasted and we asked for forgiveness, HaKadosh Baruch Hu sealed that, basically signed the check. After that came 7 days of Sukkot. Sukkot, we have to go outside of our zone, comfort zone, where we're going to the Sukkah. The Sukkah is a temporary place that come to teach us a lot of important things. Said the Psikta, the Rav Kahana, that Hazal tell us that if there is a verdict on a person and he going to Galut mechaperet, if he going to exile, the exile will do atonement. Said the Psikta of Rav Kahana, Kadosh Baruch Hu, with his mercy, with his love to the Jewish people, giving us Chag HaSukkot. that we're going to go and leave our comfort zone, that's the house, the beautiful place that we live in, to move to a sukkah, to a temporary place. Once that you're moving that will consider like you're going to exile, and that can do atonement to you. That's how the Psikta de Rav Kahana explained to us. Rabotai, I would like to explain to you something very important. You know, in Rosh Hoshanah, I usually daven according to my Nusach, and Yom Kippur I daven also according to my Nusach. So I usually don't come to Yeshiva College and Sukkot. It's a completely different davening, different song. I want to go to my roots, you know, and Hagim to enjoy to remember my Nusach. And so when we was at Sukkot, at the beginning, the evening of Sukkot, you know, we share all the rabbis, we share our talk. The rabbi of the Sephardi Shul, as a matter of fact, is Ashkenazi rabbi. But we all friends, and we all have shares. We all help him to talk. We share. And I want to tell you a story that happened that I heard from one of the rabbis. And it's a true story that happened here in South Africa. One of the rabbis had a maid, and for quite some time that she was with him, she saw that every Friday night they have a kiddush, and the family get together and they make special food, etc. When it's come to Yom Tov, all of them getting together, and they sit together around the table. They talk in the Torah, you know, they eat special food every festival. And she said to him, I'm going to get convert. I want to convert. I want to become a Jew. And that story going maybe for 3-4 months. And after Pesach, she asked, what is the next festival? They told her it's Rosh Hoshanah, and then they explained to her that it's Yom Kippur, that we're fasting. And he said, after Yom Kippur, immediately after Yom Kippur, we start building a sukkah. He said, what is a sukkah? They explained to her that it's a kind of a shack. And we're moving from our house to a shack for 7 days. She looked at him. She couldn't understand. She said to him, no. I'm not moving to a shack. And from that day, Rabotai, she never wanted to convert to religion. Why am I telling you that? Chazal tell us in the Midrash, La'atid lavo. After HaKadosh Baruch Hu going to shech the Yetzer Hara, the nation going to come to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and said to him, listen, give us one mitzvah, because we want to convert. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu going to give them the mitzvah of Sukkah. And they said, that's the easy mitzvah that you have? He said, yeah. And he said, move to a Sukkah. They said, with pleasure. Hazal said there in the Midrash that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will hit the day, and they decide that they don't want to sit anymore in a sukkah, and they're going to kick the sukkah and walk away. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to me, understand that it's hot, but why did you kick the sukkah? Why did you rebel against the sukkah? And that merit, I can't make you my nation. And that was what's happened here with that maid, with the sheikh. She's thinking, and she doesn't understand the spirituality of the sukkah, the benefit that the sukkah can do atonement to us. Now, let's understand what is Hoshanah Rabah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, with His mercy, given us 51 days, that every Jew have a chance to change his decree until Hoshanah Rabah. And then comes Simchat Torah. Simchat Torah is a different level. Simchat Torah is a day that we're happy with the Torah. Many of them commentaries ask, why are we not celebrating Simchat Torah in Pesach, in Nisan, when we receive, in Sivan, when we receive the Torah? In Sivan, we receive the Holy Torah. But in Tishrei, we finish the cycle of the Torah. what we celebrating that we finished to read the Torah, and immediately we're starting again the cycle of the new Torah. And that's why called Simchat Torah, we celebrate when on Tishrei, in the month of Tishrei. Okay, that's what's called Simchat Torah. Rabotai, one of the important things that we're doing tomorrow is we surrounding the Bima 7 times. Why Dafka 7 times? There's many interpretations. Number 7 represents everything in nature, in earth, that it's natural, nature. That means that everything can happen usually. Like we have 7 days, on a 7 days Shabbat. Then we have 7 years, that's Shnat HaShmita. Then we have what we call Shnat HaYovel, it's Hamishim, it's again 7, 7, 7. You know what I'm saying? Come to tell you, you know why we circling, we surrounding, or we walking around the Teva. Tomorrow we're going to walk for 7 times. One of the commentary that I saw that the Midrash bring, it's to show you the power of number 7. When Yoshua bin Nun start to conquer the land of Eretz Israel, the first city that he started to conquer, it was the city of Jericho. Jericho, Hazal explained to us, that the width of the wall was the same height of the wall. It was impossible to conquer that city. That city was surrounded with a wall that was built with witchcraft. Hazal tell us that for 7 days, Yeshua bin Nun and the nation of Israel was surrounding the Jericho, but the Kohanim surround the city every day 1 time. When on the last day, on the 7th day, they surrounded 7 times. And suddenly the wall starts sinking into the ground. And that's how Yeshua bin Nun managed to conquer the city. What are we doing tomorrow? Be'ezrat Hashem, we're going to take the lulav and etrog. We're going to say a lot of Hoshanah, again, na. We're going to say the word Hoshanah many times. Why Dafka? That na, it's 51 gematria. Hoshanah, that we're asking HaKadosh Baruch Hu, please. That's the day of our salvation. It's the day that we're asking for the final salvation, okay? And then we're going to have the intimate day only with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that's Simchat Torah. During the 7 days of Sukkot, Hazal explained to us that there is Shiv'im Parim. They bring in 70 bull, and that's what the 70 nations. But they're bringing also 14 sheep. 14 times 7, it's 98. Why Dafka 98, Rabotai? I heard a Hidush today. It's 98. You remember in Parashat Kitavo, it says that it's mentioned the 98 curses. That in Sukkot, we're doing atonement for those 98 curses. We're turning them to brocha. That when it's come to Simchat Torah, it's the only time that we bring only 1 par, 1 bull. Why? Hazal explained that that's the intimate day that HaKadosh Baruch Hu had with his nation, Israel. The rest of the nation can't come anymore. And that's what we're preparing tomorrow, that we're asking for atonement, we're asking for salvation from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We're surrounding the Teva, and we're doing Sheva Kafot with the Hoshanot, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will write us and seal us to a year full of prosperity, a year full of peace, full of health, full of abundance, and all good things that there is in the world. That's the secret of Hoshanah Rabah, in briefly. But I would like to continue because I want to move on and to speak about the Ushpizin of tonight. The Ushpizin of tonight, as you all know, it's David HaMelech, David Melech Israel Hai Vekayam. Why they call him David Melech Israel Hai Vekayam? David HaMelech is dead. How come that they call him Hai, is alive, and exists? Many of the Mefarshim ask. The Mefarshim explain that because there is no one moment and one place on earth that they don't read the book of Tehillim. Because when people sleep in the southern hemisphere and the northern hemisphere, people awake. It's the same when it's day here, it's night in America. There's not one moment in the 24 hours that people don't read Tehillim. And because of that they read Tehillim, Chazal tell us David Melech Israel Hai exists, okay, and live. Hai vekayam. He lived and he exists forever. And I would like to speak a bit about a moment that changed David HaMelech's life. We explained that for 28 years of his life, David HaMelech been considered by his brother, that means by his siblings, by his father, as a mamzer. But Rabotai was another crucial moment in the life of David HaMelech that we don't know. And Chazal tell us something extraordinary. In the book of Shmuel, it's the book of Samuel, the prophet Samuel. The book of Samuel have 2 volumes. In volume 2, in chapter 16, from verse 5, if I'm not mistaken, until verse 23 or 24, there's a story about David HaMelech. After David HaMelech been anointed as a king, he didn't start to become immediately a king. It took him a few years before he started to act as a king. And in book Shmuel, in the book of Samuel 2, that's the prophet Samuel, he wrote the book, he tells us a very interesting story that happened to David HaMelech. David HaMelech was been on a run from King Saul. King Saul actually started to hate David HaMelech because of Ahitophel. Ahitophel had something against David HaMelech, and he was one of the advisors of HaMelech Shmuel. Okay. And he managed to put poison all the time in the heart of King Saul to hate David HaMelech because Ahitophel didn't like David HaMelech. What happened? The Tanakh tells us a story that David HaMelech have 600 soldiers with him. And he have to fled because King Saul wanted to kill him. And he arrived in a city that called Bahurim, the city called Bahurim. That's how the Tanakh tells us. Bahurim, in Hebrew, it means guys. They arrive in a city, and when they arrive in a city, suddenly Shimei ben Gera was the head of the Sanhedrin. Saw David HaMelech and starting to swear and to curse him and to throw stone on him, to throw the sand on him and embarrassed him in public. Now, Rabota, you have to understand, David HaMelech is a king. He'd been embarrassed like you can't believe. Not only that, that he Shimei ben Gera, what he done, how would I explain that? He humiliated David HaMelech in public. And we know that if you embarrass a king, if you hurt his proud, his kavod, he can kill you. Who was next to David HaMelech? The Sar Tzava. Hazal tell us Avishai ben Tzuriah. Avishai ben Tzuriah was the chief of staff, let's call it. Avishai ben Tzuriah was his nephew, David HaMelech nephew. And when he saw Shimei ben Gera behaving like this, Avishai said to David HaMelech, Your Majesty, allowed me to kill that dog. He called Shimei ben Gera a dog. Allowed me to kill him. David HaMelech said to him, Don't touch it. Don't do anything. David HaMelech, for all of that time that he was in a city of called Bahurim, Shimei ben Gera was embarrassing him. And not only that he embarrassed him, he humiliated him in a way that everyone look at David HaMelech and say, is that a king? Is that really a king? Or he just took the kingdom? That means start to become a doubt. David HaMelech kept shtum, didn't say a word. But in that precise moment that David HaMelech kept shtum, he asked a wish that he will return to Jerusalem without not one drop of blood. Not one drop of blood. Sorry, I say King Saul. It wasn't King Saul, it was Avshalom, the son of David HaMelech that wanted to kill him. Sorry, my mistake. And David HaMelech, that was a king, had to run from his kingdom because his son Avshalom took his kingdom. I mentioned King Saul. Who was the advisor? We explained. What's happened here, Rabotai? David HaMelech kept quiet while he been humiliated, while he was embarrassed in public. He kept shtum. He asked HaKadosh Baruch Hu, please returning me back to Jerusalem without spilling any blood. And what's happened? 6 months later, Rabotai, David HaMelech returned to Jerusalem because the nation wanted him. And who was in the head of the nation to ask David HaMelech to come to become a king again? Shimei ben Gera, the head of the Sanhedrin. Come the Ramak, Rabbi Moshe Cordovero. Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, born around 501 years ago. It's not well known where he born. Some people say he born in Tzfat, but there is a lot of doubt about it. Because the word Cordovero, the surname Cordovero, referring to the city of Cordova. Cordova is in Spain. The Ramak, Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, was the rabbi of Ari HaKadosh, Rabbi Yitzhak Luria Ashkenazi. He was his rabbi. He was a great Kabbalistic. In one of his books that he called, it's called Tomer Devorah. The name of the book is Tomer Devorah. And he tells us a remedy that we can learn from the Ushpizin of tonight, that's David HaMelech. What happened? David HaMelech come to teach us a remedy. Say the Tomer Devorah, the Ramak, Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, that was a great Kabbalistic. We don't understand his level. And he said like this. He said that when person been embarrassed, when someone embarrass you in public, when someone actually harm you all the time, or make your life a misery, humiliated you in public, whatever you want to call it, and you keep quiet, he call it Pothim Bashamayim et kol hamatanot hatovot. I'm reading word by word. baword. Pothin bashamayim, in heaven, the opening, all the good present. I'm translating word by word, and then I will explain. What does it mean? He said, when someone gets embarrassed, when someone embarrasses you in public, when someone shouts on you, when someone embarrasses you, not necessarily in public, someone make your life a misery, humiliated you in the front of other people, or humiliated you one-on-one, and you keep quiet. You don't say a word. פותחים בשמיים את כל המתנות הטובות. In heaven, the opening all the good present. What does it mean? Said the Tomer Devorah, that whatever you wish, that you ask in that moment, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will grant, and you will receive. And that's what David HaMelech done. When Shimei ben Gera came and thrown stone and earth and swear and scream and shout and humiliated the king and embarrassed him, David HaMelech kept quiet. Although that he had the right to chop his head off, he said to Abishai, ben Tzuriah, his nephew, don't touch it, don't say a word. David HaMelech asked to return back to the city of Jerusalem without spilling one drop of blood. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu granted that 6 months later. He received that. Said the Tomer Devorah, from here you learn that David HaMelech, Hazal say that in that moment that Avishai, that was the chief of staff, wanted to kill Shimei ben Gera, David HaMelech said to him, it's not him, it's from the Almighty. Said the Tomer Devorah and revealed to us a remedy. When people embarrass us, we have to understand it's not that person that embarrassed me. It's not the person. Who is it? It's from Shamayim. And if I accept what's coming to me from Shamayim, Bashamayim niftahim kol hamatanot hatovot. In heaven, all the good present, HaKadosh Baruch Hu open them, and whatever you ask, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will grant. Said the Tomer Devorah, that when people get humiliated, when a person gets embarrassed by other people, he should hug and kiss the person that embarrassing him. If we have a bit of a seichel. It's very difficult to understand that concept. It's a very difficult concept to understand, but I say I'll share it with you. But what is the moral? Rabotai, I would like to tell you a story that I heard, and that story, it's a true story that happened in Jerusalem, in Har Nof. I heard the story from Arav Eliyahu Amar Shalita. What happened? In Har Nof, it's in Jerusalem. In one of the restaurants that they have there, it's a takeaway restaurant that people can sit and can have takeaway. It's more like a shawarma, you know, very quick restaurant. It's not fancy restaurant. One evening, while people was dining, some of them inside the shop, some people were sitting by the front counter and asking for what they want. A man walked in with a parcel and started shouting on the owner that was across the counter. And he embarrassed him in public, and he said to him that his food is actually disgusting, it's unhealthy. Obviously, maybe he bought something, he wanted to give it to him back, I don't know. And the owner that was across the counter can easily say to him, listen, I think that you should leave the shop. Kept quiet.
Rob,
and he looked.
Your voice is breaking. Your connection is bad. Your connection is bad. So,
can you hear me now? Is it better?
yes, but it's on and off. It's on and off. Something is loose, the wire is loose, or something.
I don't know. I'm going to try. I have a full, by the way, I'm looking, I have full reception. Okay, can you hear me now better?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll start the story again. You want me to start from the beginning? Is everyone Let me start the story again. What's happened? The story that I'm going to tell happened in Jerusalem, in Harnof, in a restaurant. A person have bought something, obviously, and he come in with a parcel, while other people was dining inside the restaurant, eating. Some of them was buying. A man walked with a parcel, and he showed it to the owner of the shop. This is the food that I bought from you, and it's actually disgusting, and you not deserve to happen to have a restaurant. How dare you are? And basically embarrassed him, and he absolutely actually destroy his good name. And not only that, that he humiliated him, he actually insists that everyone will hear what he said. Now, the owner of the shop that was across the counter just looked at him. He can easily say to him, Mister, please leave the shop. You have no right to do that. Futzak. He kept quiet. He didn't say a word. This situation occurred for a few minutes. After a few minutes, that angry man left the shop and walked away. It was a husband and a wife, a young couple, not very young, but young, that was sitting and dining there, eating, having the supper. When the man left, immediately they stood up and they walked to the owner of the shop. And they said to him, bless us. The man that's just been humiliated and embarrassed, he said, to bless you. I'm a shawarma man. I don't know how to bless. He said, please bless us. He said, listen, I've just been embarrassed. He said, please bless us. We, a couple that we didn't merit to have children, please bless us that we'll have children, healthy children. He said, listen, help me. And they help him, and he blessed them. And he blessed them with all the good words that he can find. A man that saw it, was a guy that saw it, knew the couple. And he was living across the road from them. And he witnessed and he told the story to Arav Eliyahu Amar. And he told him, 9 months later, the wife delivered a healthy zera shel kayama, a healthy baby. What is this come to teach us? Rabotai, when a person being embarrassed, when a person being shouted, when a person being humiliated, and he keeps quiet and he doesn't answer, and that moment that he understands that it's all from Shamayim, and it's not from that person, whatever he will ask, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will grant. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will grant all of his wishes. This is the power, Rabotai, that David HaMelech come to teach us. That's the remedy that we learn from David HaMelech. That when Shimei ben Gera approached him and humiliated him and embarrassed him in public and cursed him, throw stone on him and throw sand on him and swear on him, and David HaMelech easy, according to Jewish law, can chop his head off. Melech shemahal kvodo, kvodo eno mahut. A king that allowed other people to embarrass him, he doesn't take it seriously, his honor cannot be taken. That person has to be punished. But David HaMelech knew that HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent Shimei ben Gera, that was the head of the Sanhedrin, to humiliate David. Why? Because his son Avshalom took the kingdom. And he managed to convince the nation that his father is not a good king. But David HaMelech knew that if he's going to ask for his kingdom back, going to be a lot of bloodshed. David HaMelech didn't want nothing to happen to his son. Avshalom was the third son from the third wife of David HaMelech. Ma'acha was was his mother, a beautiful looking woman. What is the moral of it? That when a person, Hazal say, married a beautiful woman because her beauty, then come bern sorer umore. כי תצא למלחמה על אויביך, וראית בשביה אישה יפת תואר. When you go to a war and you see a beautiful looking woman and you take her as a wife, but you look at the external beauty, inevitably, the next parsha tell you, you'll have Ben Sorer umore, rebellious son. And that was Absalom. But the moral of the story, Rabotai, that when people embarrass us, shout on us, and we keep quiet, and it's very, very difficult, and we're saying that's all from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in heaven, they're opening the good present. Whatever you ask, you will grant. And that's to speak about the Ushpizin of tonight, David HaMelech. I would like to move on and to share with you another idea, because one of the idea tonight that in Hoshanah Rabah, you sit and you study all night. And the tikkun of tonight, Rabotai, it's from now until midnight. And I would like to give you idea before we're going to move on to the next part of the show. It's the Mekubalim explain to us that to read the book of Dvarim from the beginning to the end tonight, whoever can, word by word, Rabotai, that's one of the guarantee to be written, to be sealed, and the postage gonna guarantee that you're gonna live until next year. So the guarantee that if you read tonight, after the shi'ur, that please God, it's gonna end up in the next 15, 20 minutes, take the book of Dvarim, sit with yourself, read it from the beginning to the end. There's a guarantee that no harm gonna happen to you, and you will live for another year until next year. Who doesn't want it? It's gonna take a bit of time. Maybe you're gonna take an hour, maximum 2, if you read slow, but it's guaranteed that HaKadosh Baruch Hu said the Mekubalim will seal us when he posts the decree gonna change on us. Now I would like to go to Parashat Zot HaBeracha. In Parashat Zot HaBeracha, in chapter 33, Mark chapter 33, verse 20. We're going to read verse 20 and verse 21. We see something very interesting. But before we start reading, I would like to explain what is Parashat Zot HaBeracha. In Parashat Zot HaBeracha, that Be'ezrat Hashem, that we're going to read this coming Shabbos, we see something very interesting. Moshe Rabbeinu actually blessing the tribes, each tribe according to his own blessing that Moshe Rabbeinu see in his wisdom to bless them. But it's one blessing that many of the Mefarshim look at that blessing and find it very difficult to understand, and that's the blessing that Moshe Rabbeinu blessed the tribe of Gad. Why Dafka said the Mekubalim that Moshe Rabbeinu chose those words to bless God? I'm gonna read it in Hebrew, and Mark, our friend Mark, gonna read it in English. Ulegad Amar, Baruch Marhiv Gad, Kalavi Shechen, Keteref Zroa Af Kotkod, Vayir'e Reshit Lo, Kisham Helkat Mehokek, Safun Vayatelo Rashi Am, Tzitkat Adonai Asa, Umishpatav Im Israel. Bechavod.
Of God, he said, blessed is he who broadens God. He dwells like a lion, tearing off arm and even head. He chose the first portion for himself, but that is where the lawgiver's plot is hidden. He came at the head of the nation, carrying out Hashem's justice and his ordinances with Israel.
If you look at that blessing, especially verse 21. He first saw. What did he saw? Helkat mehokek. Many of the Mefarshim say, what's happening? What did Moshe Rabbeinu actually blessing God? Because the first part, the first verse, we can understand. The end of the second verse, also understandable. But the beginning, it says, Vayere reshit lo, ki sham helkak mehokek, safun yete rashi am. Many of the Mefarshim didn't understand what did Moshe Rabbeinu, not that they didn't understand, try to bring different interpretation. What is Moshe Rabbeinu saying to God? What is that blessing? It sounds more like a dialogue, not like a blessing. So, Rabotai, as you all know, these two tribes, that number one, never have a inheritance in the land of Eretz Israel. The tribe of Gad and the tribe of Reuven. But Gad and Reuven, we know that they approached who? Moshe Rabbeinu. And they said to him, listen, please allow us to have inheritance across in the eastern Jordan Valley, and a part of the eastern part of the Jordan Valley. The Torah given us the pshat of the dvarim. You know why they wanted to have a part inheritance outside the land of Eretz Israel? Because they have a huge flock, a huge kind of animals that they needed to look after, the flocks, the herds. They have to take it across the border. That's the pshat of the dvarim. But we have to understand, come the Zera Shimshon, Rabbi Shimshon Haim Nachmani, that was a great Kabbalistic, and I'm trying to bring him in every shi'ur that his merit, especially today, that we need his merit to daven for us, to stand in the front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will write us and bless us. L'chaim tovim u'leshalom, be'ezrat Hashem, us and kol amo bet Israel. He said like this. He said, I don't understand. People that was waiting to enter the land of Eretz Israel for 40 years, in a split of a second, suddenly going to give it up and going to go and live across the Jordan River and the east part of the Jordan River. Doesn't sound so simple. No, it doesn't sound to me. Then come the Zera Shimshon and say, well, I have another question. What is the word Helkat Mehokek Sapun V'iter Hashem? Mark, you want to read it for us again? Kisham Helkat Mehokek Sapun Yete Rashe'am. If you can read it in English slowly.
Blessed is he who broadens God. He dwells like a lion, tearing off arm and even head.
Okay, the second part, the second verse, 21.
He chose the first portion for himself, and that is where the law's given plot is hidden.
What does it mean where the law-given plot is hidden? What does that mean? That's what asked the Zera Shimshon. And the Zera Shimshon explained it beautifully. He said, according to the Pshat, Reuven and Gad approach Moshe and they say, listen, we have a big herd, a big flock. We need a big land for them. And that land can be across the Jordan River on the eastern side. That's on the Pshat of the Dvarim, and Moshe accepted it and given it that part of the land. And it was outside the land of Eretz Israel. Come the Zera Shimshon explain. I will tell you what's the secret behind it. He said, what it mean Helkat Mehokek? He said, Mehokek, it's Moshe Rabbeinu. Where did Moshe Rabbeinu been buried? The Torah tells us, across from Har Nevo. Har Nevo, where's Har Nevo? is by the Jordan Valley. Exactly where, we don't know. Come God and said to Moshe Rabbeinu, I know that you're not going to enter the land of Eretz Israel. I want a piece of land right next to where you're going to be buried. I want to be close to that leader that brought us the Torah. I want to be close to that leader that led us 40 years in the wilderness. Say, the Mekubal, Rabbi Shimshon Nachmani, in his book, Zera Shimshon, God managed to convince who? Reuven. He said to him, listen, we need to be close to our leader because he's not going to enter the land of Eretz Israel. He's going to be buried outside Eretz Israel. Where? By the Jordan Valley. Where? Opposite Har Navo. That means in the eastern part. Let's try and get that land. And if Moshe Rabbeinu is going to grant it for us, we're going to be close to him. And we're not going to lose his spiritual influence on us. And we always can be led and be close to him. So we're not going to lose our contacts with our leader. That's how the Zera Shimshon explained why Gad and Reuven agree to leave the inheritance in the land of Eretz Israel after 40 years in the wilderness. And not only that, 40 years they're waiting every minute to enter the land of Eretz Israel. Each one wanted his own inheritance. And here we see Gad and Reuven suddenly give it up. Said the Zera Shimshon, they wanted to be close to Moshe Rabbeinu. They wanted to be close to the Mehokek. Who's the Mehokek? Who given the Torah? Moshe Rabbeinu. They want to be next to him. That's why they chose, to live where? Across the Jordan River, to be close to Moshe Rabbeinu. So Moshe Rabbeinu here, when he said to God, God, I know what you're planning. I know why you wanted. Now I understand why you wanted the eastern part across the Jordan River, because that's where I'm going to be buried. Now I understand when you approached me, why did you ask me that you want that part of land? According to the pshat of the Dvarim, you come and tell me because you have a big herd, a big flock, and there is not enough space on your part of land in Eretz Israel. But the truth is, now I understand it because you wanted to be close to me. Until here, the Zera Shimshon. Now, Rabotai, I'm going to go one step depth. I usually never do that, but this time I will do. Come, Hari HaKadosh. Hari HaKadosh, Rabbi Yitzhak Luria Ashkenazi, Rabbeinu Yitzhak Luria Ashkenazi, born in Jerusalem. He born around 489 years ago. And with him, everything is around mystical. Everything he was, when he brought and he explained Torah Kabbalah, he explained it, everything according to the mystical part. What does it mean? He says like this, he said, it's not so simple that two tribes are going to give it the inheritance in the land of Eretz Israel. It doesn't make sense to me. He said, I'll tell you why Reuven and Gad couldn't have inheritance of the land of Eretz Israel. They not deserve it. Did you hear what I said? Unbelievable. Listen what the Ari HaKadosh said. He said, Reuven was the oldest son of Yaakov and Leah. He was the first of the tribe, the oldest. Gad was the oldest son of Bilhah, of Zilpah, And who? Yaakov. What's the story here? Zilpah was the servant of Leah. Leah was the sister of Rachel. Now we're going to start to explain. Yaakov Avinu, when he wanted to marry Rachel. But we know that Lavan he switched Rachel with Leah. So when Yaakov Avinu was with Leah, he didn't know that he's with Leah. He was thinking that's Rachel. When Reuven born, Yaakov Avinu didn't plan that Reuven gonna come from Leah. He wanted the first son to come from who? From Rachel, because he loved Rachel. Later on, after he was with Leah and it's all found out, Leah done another thing. She sent Zilpah that night without Yaakov Avinu knowing, the same like happened with her, and she allowed Zilpah to be with Yaakov Avinu, and from that came God. Say Ari Kadosh, something extraordinary. These two kids, these two tribes, they holy, very holy. Yaakov Avinu didn't plan or didn't know that they gonna come from Zilpah and Leah. Because Yaakov Avinu have in mind when he was with Leah that that's Rachel. When he was with Zilpah, he have in mind that that's Leah. He say in that case, Yaakov Avinu didn't know that the two firstborn of Leah and Zilpah, that's Gad, Reuven and Gad, actually gonna be his kids. He didn't plan that they're gonna be from Zilpah, and he didn't plan that they're gonna be from Leah. Say that, although that they was part of the 12 tribe, it wasn't in his decision to be with Zilpah and with Leah and Zilpah. And from them came these two boys, that the first one is Reuven, the head of the tribes, the oldest of the tribes, okay, not the head, the Bechor of the tribe, the firstborn. And then the firstborn from Zilpah was Gad. But it wasn't with his knowing. Se'ari HaKadosh, okay? How do we know that Yaakov Avinu didn't know about it? Se'ari HaKadosh, if you look, when God is born, what does it say? V'ine bagad. Bagad. Bagad in Hebrew, okay, it's a traitor. That means that it didn't tell him that it was without knowing of Yaakov Avinu that he's going to be with Zilpah. Se'ari HaKadosh, that's the reason why Reuven and Gad didn't merit to have inheritance on the land of Eretz Israel. And that's why there was a cross on the eastern part of the Jordan Valley. That's why, because Yaakov Avinu have them without his knowledge, without knowing that he's going to be with Leah and he's going to be with Zilpah. Therefore, Reuven and Gad didn't have the merit to inherit a portion on the land of Eretz Israel. Now we can understand why Moshe Rabbeinu, when he blessed Gad, he blessed him with this blessing number one. Now that can help us to understand why Gad and Reuven, or better to say Reuven, that was the firstborn, and Gad didn't merit to have inheritance in the land of Eretz Israel. Rabotai, I would like again to repeat. Those of you that can, take it seriously. if you can read the book of Dvarim, take your time, read it all from the beginning, from Ele Devarim, until the end, where it says the word ending up with Israel. The words, the Sefer, what do you call it, Devarim end, it says Le'enei Kol Israel. If you read it from the beginning to the end, said the mystical rabbi, that is a guarantee that that merit of reading the book of Dvarim from the beginning to the end, that will merit you, that you will live for the next year, and all the prosperity and the blessing will come in you. So anyway, we need to sit and to stay awake at least until after midnight tonight, because that's where is the final postage of our verdict. And we want to have as many more merits. That's what we must do. Take that chance, take that remedy, that we can live for another year, Be'ezrat Hashem. I would like to bless all of you that we should all, Be'ezrat Hashem, gonna be sealed, and the postage that we're gonna get from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that means the check, the postcard, it's gonna be a postcard of healthy, wealthy, okay, a year that's full of abundance to all of us, a year full of peace, a year that's full of health, physically and spiritually, in a body, that in a physical body, in a spiritual mind, that we're going to be strong, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will bless us and grant us to a beautiful coming year, to us, to our family, to those that close to us, and to all Amo Bet Israel, wherever they are. Amen, Ken Yehi Ratzon. If there is any question regarding the subject of Hoshanah Rabah, regarding the subject of maybe you want to ask about the book of Dvarim, you're more than welcome to ask now, and I try to answer. Bechavod, those of you that want to answer.
Can you read it in English, or does it have to be in Hebrew?
Look, preferably in Hebrew.
But at least if we read it in English, we can understand what we're reading. You know, we can get that.
Preferably in Hebrew, but if you can't read it in English.
Okay.
You understand?
Also women? Also for women?
Better.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Rav.
מה הבעיה? ותבקשי, אורנה, תבקשי.
כן.
תבקשי על כל המשפחה. Ask for all your family.
I will. תודה, רב. תודה.
Thanks, Rav. A good year to you and your family as well.
Amen.
And thank you always for your shiurim, which give us inspiration.
Amen. Thank you. Rabotai,
good year.
Any other question? No question. Okay, so thank you for being with us. I hope that will give you inspiring to read tonight and to stay awake at least until after midnight tonight. And Be'ezrat Hashem, we'll meet after the Hagim. I'll post a message on a group when we're going to have the next show. In the meantime, כתיבה טובה, פסקה טובה לכל עמו בית ישראל. אמן כן יהי רצון.
Thanks, Rav.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Night.